Welcome to the C3 Monday Minutes, where you get the latest Carolina Panthers news and opinions in just a couple of minutes.
And this is the C3 Monday Minutes, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where we catch you up on the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective in just a couple of minutes. Look, there's some things to talk about this week, and what we're looking at, first of all, is that Dave Gettleman came out and addressed the Carolina Panthers media. We don't have any video of this footage, so all we're doing is hearing just kind of reports based out of Black and Blue Review and primarily from the Charlotte News and Observer. Some things that came out of this address: the Panthers do plan on picking up Kelvin Benjamin's fifth-year option, which is expected to cost around $8 million. So the Panthers have demonstrated some commitment there and some confidence in a guy that many fans have been displeased with, particularly with his effort. But I think ultimately that you can see some added pieces around Kelvin Benjamin. They think he can be a particularly effective player, and that injury that he was coming off, that they believe that was part of the reason that he did not maybe shine out as much as many people had hoped. On top of that, Dave Gettleman also addressed how moving up in the draft eight spots to some, while we don't think it is terribly much, is that you trade Kalil away to the Patriots, to the Evil Empire, and you move into the last pick of the second round. But Dave Gettleman says, look, there's a lot of guys in this draft, and what he said, it's a heavy draft, quote, and it's an opportunity for us to move up. To you guys, 8 spots doesn't seem like much, but to me, it's gold. So it looks like that he is in that this draft, he thinks that he can really make some moves. And then he did continue to comment on this, and this is via Black and Blue Review, on his off-season acquisitions and his approach going into the NFL draft. He said, I've told you I'm not a believer in windows. Really and truly, every year my butt's on the line, and Ron's too. And it's interesting that he's saying this, because some people have mentioned that, at some point that the rubber has to hit the road. And he says, look, our goal is to win, and it's not just to win yesterday or in 3 years, it's to win now. I like my job. I like having fun. I'd like to keep it. Every decision, he said, that ultimately rests on my head is made with us making the best team we can be now and in the future. That's what I'm trying to do. So some people do believe that, Gettleman thinks that there's a real opportunity to turn this team around very quickly and get back to where we were in 2015. We saw this again. He comes out and discusses Matt Kalil, and according to the Charlotte News and Observer, he says he re-emphasized his faith in this pick. He talked about how Matt Kalil was how he is cut from the same cloth as his brother Ryan Kalil, and that he did plenty of tape study and film study, and what he is most excited about is Kalil entering into what could be seen as his prime at 27 years old. He did reference his minivan once again, saying that, hey, I'm a kid from the streets of Boston, all right? And spending $55 million and $25 million guaranteed, that amount of money still blows his mind, he said. But he did re-emphasize that he thinks that this is a great opportunity, and that they did get a particularly good pick with this, or a good player with this. So moving on, another thing that I guess is interesting is that he did reference Michael Oher still being in the concussion protocol. He says, though, however, according to Panthers.com, he looks great, he sounds great, but he's still in the protocol. Now, we don't know. There's kind of like some shady things that go on with the protocol. Not shady as in we question the Panthers, but, when do they take this off? Should they? Do they have to be in a rush for it? But he did say this, that Michael Oher is doing NFL workouts, and these workouts that he's doing, Gettleman said, are not for the faint of heart. So he's working hard out there, and this gives us potentially some depth at left tackle, opportunity maybe to put or at right tackle. It does give the Panthers some flexibility at this position. Now, other news that we should say is that is interesting is it turns out LeVar Ball was the Panthers' best tight end ever. We all know of these comments that he's talked about his Big Baller Nation or whatever, Big Baller brand, that his sons are better than LeBron James, that he can beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. It turns out that LeVar Ball happens to be the best Carolina Panthers tight end ever because he was on the team for 2 months in 1995 on the practice squad. Scott Fowler reported this as a cool little story. He did hamper the knee, or it was a knee injury that permitted him from, playing and be better than Tony Gonzalez or Greg Olson, according to his standards. Now, what is kind of cool about this is that LeVar Ball, in many ways, we can take credit for, and he should start taking credit for, that effort to put the athletic tight end, and I bet you my mic is muted. Nope. Oh, okay. So that effort to put in that athletic basketball player. LeVar Ball is the first basketball player recruitment to turn tight end that we saw also, that you think of the Antonio Gates, the Jimmy Grahams, those people of the world. Lamar Ball was the OG of this, and he was a Carolina Panther in 1995. Now, granted, he did not play at all, he did not catch at all, he did not block at all, he didn't do anything. So just like basketball, he didn't do anything, but he's still the greatest there. So just like in football, he's the greatest here. Last, on the owners meetings are going down today, and there's been some weird conversations which come up every year about, look, Jerry Richardson's getting old. He's 80 plus years old. His health, he's had like a heart transplant, I believe. And he's had some issues with his son where he's cut his sons out of the organization. It does not look like he's just going to be handing the football team over to them. So another interesting news is that one of the small partial owners of the Carolina Panthers has passed away. Their names have been are not identified. I think I might know who they are. I can't tell you that. I think they're from Rocky Mount, big family from Rocky Mount, which isn't surprising from the idea that the Hardys capital is in Rocky Mountain, that Richardson has those connections. But Jason LaCanfora says that, hey, the owners are concerned or are already talking about what happens with the potential sale of the Carolina Panthers. Now, what we get here is that the Panthers organization has come out and said, look, there is absolutely no talk of selling the Carolina Panthers, but it does have fans kind of unsettled, uneasy slightly. This happened last year. This happened the year before. This is what happens because Jerry Richardson has already talked about not passing the organization on to his son. So how do you sell this organization if, who is it go to? And with all of this, in 15 months, we've seen 3 teams move. And today the news just came out of the owners meeting that they passed in a 33 or 31 to 1. I don't know if there's more than one vote because of multiple owners or something like that. But Miami was the only team that voted against the Oakland Raiders moving and becoming the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, all of a sudden, there's been all this movement, all this shuffle. What happens if the Carolina Panthers are sold to someone who is searching for a bigger market? That is the concern. But right now, it really seems like there's no way that this that there's nothing in the foreseeable future that suggests this, other than us needing something to talk about. We did sign up a backup quarterback from Oakland who is nobody who's going to be a camp body. Don't worry about that. Oh, Ron Rivera did come out and express confidence in the timetable for Cam Newton to be ready for training camp. He said, I am positive. Now, this is an optimistic message from the organization, and they should be. Right. The last thing I do want to mention is that one of our favorite people in the world, Lynn Leonhardt, her husband unexpectedly passed away. Now, Lynn has been a fantastic supporter of the C3 podcast and of CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and she's been truly a great friend to me. And one of the cool things is that she's helped us design 2 of our T-shirts, right? She helped us design this Reward 4 one, which is a beautiful shirt that was expecting us to win our 4th consecutive NFC championship, but unfortunately that did not come to fruition. But the shirt is still beautiful. Her work was still beautiful. She helped us with the I Stand with Cam t-shirt as well, where her husband unexpectedly passed away. And our heart goes out to Lynn. It's been amazing to see the support that we see from Panther fans to her now, going through her family in this difficult time. But our prayers for you. We know that doesn't mean very. I mean, I know that you appreciate that, but at the same time, I know that doesn't necessarily help. But we love you, Lynn. You organized the girl gang. You're a fantastic person, and it's an honor and pleasure knowing you. And I do know this, that I've never had the pleasure of meeting your husband, but if he courted you and you thought, as highly as I think of you, I expect that he was a remarkable person, and we do pray for your family. So other than that, guys, send your condolences to Lynn. You can find her at Legacy Lines. Lynn, at Legacy Lines on Twitter. She's a fantastic person, a great soul. And so I hope that her family and her two beautiful children can find some comfort in this difficult time. Carolina Panthers, guys, we're coming back to the top. Some Atlanta Falcons fan has been talking junk to me out of nowhere and trolling me lately. So don't worry, folks. We're coming back, and we're going to stomp those Falcons. We're going to kick them in their face, and we're going to get things back on track. And that's your latest Panthers news in just a couple of minutes.